Today, if your best friend betrays you or a rival insults your spouse, you hire a lawyer and settle the grievance in a courtroom. For most of human history, you settled it on a field of combat, in a state-sanctioned fight to the death. We tend to imagine the survivor of a mortal duel as the person with the fastest reflexes or the superior physical strength. In reality, the historical record shows that raw athleticism rarely guarantees survival. Surviving a true deathmatch required a command of endurance, psychological manipulation, and a raw, unhinged resolve. By looking closely at 3 brutal duels from our past, we can observe the extreme lengths human beings will go to when ego and pride push them past the point of reason. In Paris, late December 1386, 2 former best friends, Jean de Carouge and Jacques Legris, kneel before the King of France. Jean's wife, Marguerite, stands nearby dressed in black. If Jean loses this fight, the court will consider it divine proof that she lied, and she will be burned at the stake. Both men wore heavy, overlapping plate armor. This turned combat into a grueling physical grind, where blades were forced to find tiny gaps in polished steel. The violence escalated in stages. They shattered their lances, charging each other on horseback, then drew battle axes and killed each other's horses, tumbling to the ground to finish the fight with swords. Jacques was the larger, more powerful man. He battered Jean relentlessly, finally finding an opening and driving his sword deep into Jean's thigh. This physics breakdown illustrates how heavy plate armor distributes weight. Bleeding and cornered, Jean lunges and drags Jacques down to the dirt. Flat on his back, the sheer weight of the steel plating traps the larger man against the ground. Jean mounts him. His sword cannot pierce the breastplate, so he tosses it aside. He draws his dagger and uses the heavy handle to physically smash open the lock securing Jacques' faceplate. He rips the helmet off and ends the dispute. Surviving heavily armored combat requires absorbing immense, agonizing physical damage until a single structural vulnerability presents itself. In April 1612, a highly disciplined samurai named Sasaki Kojiro waited on the shores of Ganrijima Island for a duel to the death against a chaotic, wandering ronin named Miyamoto Musashi. Kojiro held a lethal advantage. He wielded an odachi, a massive 3-foot-long sword. In standard combat, this weapon granted him an almost unbeatable reach. Musashi attacked Kojiro's mind first. He intentionally arrived 3 hours late, stepping off a boat in filthy, uncombed clothing. This flagrant disrespect for the samurai code infuriated Kojiro, shattering his emotional discipline before they even drew weapons. This diagram compares the standard odachi length directly against Musashi's chosen weapon, a wooden boat oar he carved during the delay. He calculated it to be exactly 2 inches longer than Kojiro's steel blade. Looking closely at these intersecting swing arcs, we can see exactly how Musashi utilized this reach. As Kojiro charged in, Musashi delivered a crushing blow to his skull while remaining safely outside the odachi's lethal range. He also utilized a final environmental trap. Musashi positioned himself with his back to the setting sun. The late afternoon light reflected off the water, blinding Kojiro at the exact moment of the strike. Musashi secured the kill before their weapons even crossed. He stripped his opponent's emotional discipline, controlled the geometry of the fight, and weaponized the environment itself. In 1806, an argument over a horse race and a newspaper insult led future U.S. President Andrew Jackson into an illegal pistol duel with a man named Charles Dickinson. Jackson faced a fatal disadvantage. Dickinson was widely considered the state's deadliest marksman. His reputation suggested that he would hit his target with his first shot. This chart outlined standard 19th century dueling rules, revealing Jackson's high-risk strategy. He planned to stand completely still, let the expert marksman shoot him in the chest, and use the resulting uninterrupted time to carefully aim his return shot. The men stand 24 feet apart. Dickinson fires. The lead ball impacts inches from Jackson's heart, breaking his ribs. Blood pours down Jackson's shirt. He clutches his chest, his face pale, but he refuses to fall. Dickinson watches in disbelief as the man he just shot remains standing, slowly raising his own pistol. Jackson pulls the trigger, but the gun misfires. Under the established rules of dueling, a misfire counts as a shot. The fight should be legally over. Jackson ignores the rules, illegally recocks his weapon, and fires a lethal shot squarely into Dickinson's chest. Jackson did not win through technical skill. He survived through a terrifying willingness to accept a lethal wound and shatter the agreed-upon rules of combat to ensure his vengeance. Across 14th century France, 17th century Japan, and 19th century America, the weapons and rules changed, but the underlying human drivers remained identical. Jealousy, pride, and ego pushed men onto the field. The concept of a fair fight vanishes the moment lives are on the line. When pushed to the absolute brink, human beings will immediately abandon honor in favor of survival. Ultimate victory falls to the combatant willing to endure the most agony, manipulate the environment, and abandon their humanity to secure the kill.